Los Angeles Dodgers season did not end the way they would have liked in 2023. After going 162 and winning the National League West, they lost in the National League Division Series once again to a division rival, this time the Arizona Diamondbacks. Heading into 2024, they have totally loaded up and have become, I don't know if you want to say the Avengers Assemble meme or whatever, but it's a little bit ridiculous. So we're going to talk about this Dodgers team and what to expect for them in the 2024 season. My name is Derek. I'm here with Luke. You're watching Bleacher, Brawls, and this is the Los Angeles Dodgers 2024 team profile. First things first, I'm going to hand it over to Luke. I want to get your opening thoughts on this team and I think we know what's the expectation is for 2024 and whatnot, but what are your thoughts on this team heading into the season?
Well, I feel like the Avengers metaphor only works if Iron Man and the Hulk and Thor always got their asses kicked at the climax of the movie right at the end. Like Thanos just stomps them all, and then it's just left on a really depressing note. This team was already loaded for bear, and now they're loaded for what, T-Rex? But they were embarrassed, and I don't think it's being harsh to say they were embarrassed by a young upstart Diamondbacks team in the National League Division Series. Not taking anything away from the Diamondbacks, but they got swept. The Dodgers got swept by the Diamondbacks, and now in response, they just went scorched earth on the entire league in the offseason. And nobody else made any signings. The Dodgers just got everybody. That's how it feels.
Yeah, it felt like as if whoever the Dodgers went after, they got. This team's really ridiculous. We're going to get into key players. We're going to keep it to 3 each, but even that's hard to do because it feels like we're leaving about 20 people out by only doing 3 each. But I'll hand it over to Luke first. Who are 3 key players for this Dodgers teams? And out of those 3, who's one you want to expand on as a key player for 2024?
Well, when I'm doing a team profile, I do whatever I can to steer away from the low-hanging fruit. I don't like to talk about the superstars that everybody knows about if I can avoid it. So I love Will Smith. He rarely gets mentioned with all that star power they have in LA, especially now. He's maybe the most underrated players in all of baseball. James Outman, another guy who gets completely slept on. He had a great rookie year as the Dodgers center fielder. He's going to be a superstar, I think. But I see, given the landscape of this team, the most key player for this Dodgers team, at least in the first half of the season, is going to be Tyler Glasnow. Shohei Ohtani, Clayton Kershaw, and Walker Buehler, none of them are going to be on the opening day roster. Buehler shouldn't miss much time, but Glasnow is the ace of this team as of opening day. He's probably going to be the opening day starter. He is their lead pitcher right now, probably until mid-season. That's the way I see it. I think that's why they got him. They got him to get through because this winter bust this year. So what are we going to do without Ohtani pitching, without Gonsolin, without Kershaw until midseason, without Buehler right away? So we got to just get this guy. He couldn't get back to his dominant form last year in his 21 starts that he made last year. And he's never, ever started, other than last year, he's never started over 14 games in one season. Not once. Last year was the only time, and he only started 21 games. As loaded as this team is, they're very susceptible on the starting pitcher side of things if Glasnow is not the star that he was when he was at his best. But, you look at last year, he was coming off Tommy John surgery, so this isn't what he is, but at his best. But last year, 3.53 ERA, 12.2 Ks per 9 innings, 4.38 K per walk ratio last year. Those are good numbers. That's not what you expect from Tyler Glasnow. I don't think that's what the Dodgers expect from him coming up this season. Those are all good numbers, but is that good enough? Is that good enough for this team if you're going to be the ace for half the season? So that's an interesting. He's the most interesting player on this Dodgers roster the first half of the season, in my opinion.
I don't know if I fully agree with you with him being the ace to start the season but like I am extremely high on Yamamoto, so like that's kind of more of a. But I think but Yamamoto also hasn't pitched in the big league, so there's also that. So Glasnow's obviously a safer option, but I am that high on Yamamoto, so I have him as a key player. I could obviously talk about Ohtani, Freeman, whatever. I think him moving to second base, I think is really important. So I want to bring that up. So I'll have Mookie as a key player. But for me, I am going to also steer away from the big guys. I think Gavin Lux is arguably the most key player on this Dodgers team. Because, for one reason, Corey Seager walks. Who's going to play shortstop for the team? Oh, yeah, we have Trey Turner. Trey Turner walks, obviously. And so who's going to play shortstop? Gavin Lux. What happens? He gets injured in spring training last year, misses all of last year. Terrible injury. However, he should be set to start the season from opening day on. And if he can be at his best, which we saw the glimpses of it in 2022, 129 games, 276 average, only 6 homers, but 114 weighted runs created plus. He put up a 3 F4. And now he's back at shortstop, which is his primary position, was his original position, a position where he's probably most comfortable instead of when they were playing him in left field and all over the place. I think Gavin Lux has a chance to surprise a lot of people. I said it last year. I think he's going to be huge for the Dodgers. Didn't happen. I think this year's the year for Lux. If he stays healthy, which I'm hoping he can, doesn't have another wacky injury when sliding into a base in spring training, which is just unfortunate. If Lux stays healthy, I think he's going to shock a lot of people. I think if Gavin Lux is healthy, if it wasn't, I think he'll put up an all-star level performance. Not saying he's going to make the all-star team, because I don't think the Dodgers can have 20 players on the all-star team, but he will. I think he will have an all-star level performance if he stays healthy.
So is Miguel Rojas not there anymore?
He is. He's going to be on the bench.
He's going to be a bench player. I know he doesn't hit, but the thing is, if say Lux doesn't play a game, I don't really think that changes things for the Dodgers at all, because they got Rojas that can play short. They even got Chris Taylor who could play short. I just think Lux is such an afterthought.
Hey, Mookie can play short too.
He probably could. He could probably do all right there. I just think I think Lux is so far under the radar there. But it's also could be a reason why he does even better, because he's just got absolutely no pressure on him whatsoever.
Yeah, former top prospect. I think Fangraphs had him ranked like as a second overall prospect in all of baseball in like 2020. Like, this is a guy who had extremely high pedigree. That's why I think he's going to be important. I think he was the guy they always had waiting in the wings. It was supposed to be last year, didn't happen. This year's the year for him. Let's move on to the offseason moves, because there's a lot of them. You brought up Glasnow, and they traded for Glasnow, and Manuel Margot was in that trade as well. They also signed James Paxton, Teoscar Hernandez, and then the two big ones, Shohei Ohtani and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. You know, you want to go for one of the jugular moves, or do you want to maybe talk about one of the smaller moves, or maybe ones that I didn't even mention that the Dodgers made? What do you think is kind of a big move for them this past offseason?
No, I'm going to go with one of the main guys, and it's not the $700 million DH. It's the pitcher, the 12-year, $325 million man who has never thrown a pitch in the major leagues. But I'm not going to hate on him. He's going to be really good. He's going to be a superstar. Is that going to happen right away? I doubt it. He'll be expected to be a huge contributor with the eyes of the world on him immediately, and especially like we were saying, all the rotation injuries they have to deal with right now for the first half of the season. I have to believe that there will be some learning curve, but I doubt it will be that much of one. I don't even think it'll be as much as Ohtani had, because Ohtani didn't set the world on fire from the mound in his first season. But Yamamoto is going to be great in 2025, but he'll probably just be very good in 2024. But he's got an all-world, historic team around him. So with the amount of runs they're going to put up, I don't think he has to be great. I think Tyler Glasnow is going to have to be really good. But, Yamamoto, I think learning curve and all, I think he'll be probably even better than they need him to be.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll give a little bit of insight too, because I do want to talk about Yamamoto. I've written about him so many times on the Bleacher Bros website. I think like 2, 3, 4 times. I've also covered him in YouTube videos last year. He's a guy. So we record these early before the first one goes. I get them all recorded. Yamamoto today, as of recording, completed his first live BP. Freddie Freeman was one of the hitters who faced him. After he faced him, Freeman, after facing Yamamoto, walked off and said that, in quote, this is quote, "That's some crazy stuff. I'm glad he's on our team." When Freddie Freeman's complimenting you as having crazy stuff, I think that means you're going to be pretty good. And Freddie Freeman's one of the best hitters in baseball. So if he's looking at that guy, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's nasty. Like, I think it's looking really good for Yamamoto and the Dodgers. So I think he's a massive part of them this year and for the future. And people also don't realize that's the beauty of the Dodgers giving him a 12-year deal. He's only going to be 25 this year. It's only his age 25 season. So even though they gave him a 12-year deal, like, it's not like he's 30 and getting a 12. He's only 25. He can still get better. He might not even be in his prime. This Dodgers team is so outrageous, and it bothers me because it's like, if they win the World Series, everyone's going to be like, oh, we told you so. And then if they don't win, it's going to be like, well, now what are they going to do? Because now I'm scared that they're going to just start adding literally everyone to their team at this point. It's a little crazy, but I think Yamamoto is probably like the big move for them, I think. Even more so than Ohtani, honestly, because Ohtani can only DH, and who knows what the pitching's going to look like after this Tommy John.
And what's it say about this team that we were talking about them for 10 minutes before Freddie Freeman's name even came up?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Last but not least, expectations. This is simple. It's win the World Series, right? Like, it's not that hard.
Another 100-win season, but I don't know if this group can get past the expectations and their playoff reputation. Their reputation is complete playoff chokers. And I think, as a side note, the 2024 playoffs, because they're making the playoffs, the playoffs this coming year are going to be a telltale moment for the legacy of Mookie Betts, who has been a playoff nothing, a complete playoff zero, a playoff loser in every season that matters. Because we're not talking about 2020, because why would anybody? And this is gonna be that he's going into the Hall of Fame, obviously, but he is in A-Rod pre-2009 A-Rod status right now, and even though he's technically got 2 rings right already, but he has not gotten it done nearly at the level that's expected of him yet in the playoffs. So it's going to be the expectations, I think, for this team start in the playoffs, and they start with Mookie Betts and him actually getting it done in a real season in the playoffs.
Yeah, career 710 OPS in the postseason, and that includes the 2020 where he actually wasn't bad for once in the postseason. It's been rough for him. Who knows? Maybe playing second base will help. I mean, he hasn't done that yet in the playoffs, so who knows? Maybe the position. I don't know. But I think it will be a bit real tested for him. Also, Shohei Ohtani. I know he won't be pitching this year, but he's never played an MLB playoff game. Obviously, the WBC championship, which was a one-game championship, arguably means more because I think he's someone who really takes pride in representing the nation of Japan. But at the same time, he hasn't been in an MLB playoff game, so we haven't seen that yet too. So there's also that as well. But it's World Series or bust for this team. That's it. End of story.
If the WBC means more to him, he better keep that to himself. Because if anybody if the Dodgers ownership group hears him say something like that, then that is quite a slap in the face from a guy you're paying $70 million a year to.
Well, they're not paying him $7. They're paying him $2 million a year for the next 10 years. Then after that, they pay him
what I mean.
million.
We're not going into the intricacies of the contract every time we bring him up.
But I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing because I think it's fine to take pride. It's like there's soccer players who would rather win the World Cup than win a championship, like with their club. So a little bit like that. I think that's maybe more international thinking, not necessarily how we think here in the U.S. But this Dodgers team, they're gonna win a World Series. Dodgers fans, let us know your thoughts in the comments. I think you guys are going to be expecting a World Series or bust too. So yeah, check out all our other team profiles. We're almost getting to the end of the line with them. Almost at the end. So check out all the previous ones. Or if you're watching from the future, check out the future ones too. For Luke, my name is Derek. Thanks for tuning in to Bleacher Brawls, and we will see you next time.